Love it or hate it, Microsoft plays a major role in most of our lives. It's estimated that 85% of all the world's computers use some version of Microsoft Windows as their primary operating system.
I've been a Windows fan all throughout. I mean, there are people who talk about the Mac OS X, whatever they have to, but I'm more convenient using Windows at home and at work.
Well, I've been using Windows for a few years now. My personal preference is that if you use Windows Vista at work, over the course of time, it's worked out. It's a good, secure operating system.
And while it's the business and PC standard, it hasn't been smooth sailing for Microsoft. And there are plenty of people more than ready to tell you exactly why.
In terms of what I've personally used, I've been using XP for about, since it's come out, but more recently I've moved more towards the Linux and the open source.
They'll cite security flaws, a faulty kernel, the infamous blue screen of death, a counterintuitive user interface, and 1,000 other reasons why Bill Gates is comparable to the devil.
I was expecting a bit more when Microsoft came out with Vista, but to be honest, it was a total flunk. That sort of killed my computing experience completely.
But let's give some credit where credit is due. The original Windows, released over 20 years ago as an add-on to Microsoft's disk-operated system, has revolutionized the way we use computers. And the peak of that success arguably came with the release, way back in October 2001, of Windows XP.
Using XP ever since it released, to be honest, I found this to be the best operating system so far.
That operating system ruled the roost, fending off challenges from newbies like Linux and old rivals like Mac OS.
In fact, its worst enemy surprisingly turned out to be its own brother, the long-awaited Project Longhorn, later known as Microsoft Vista, released at the end of 2006. Greatly anticipated and widely underwhelming, Vista was a commercial flop, with hordes of customers buying new computers asking for XP instead of the newer Vista.
I have worked for a company with Vista software at client end, but the thing is, while you are working on server end, you need to deploy a separate kind of software for Vista. सेपरेट काइंड ऑफ ड्राइवर, सेपरेट काइंड ऑफ एंटीवायरसेस. एक्सपी और विस्टा के लिए सेम एंटीवायरस कंपैटिबल नहीं है, उसकी ड्राइवर वर्जन कंपैटिबल नहीं है. देयर इज अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट कि हमें अब अलग से एक एडिशनल ओएस को मैनेज करने के लिए अलग से सेटअप करने पड़ते हैं एट सर्वर एंड.
It sort of had high demands when it came to the hardware, and it was so bad that I just tried to run it and then I said goodbye to it and I reverted back to the XP.
It got labeled by the fact that early on when it was introduced, it had a lot of bugs, and maybe the security system was a little bit too strict. But as more users start using it, and as places like the States and Canada made it slowly phased out XP and made Vista the only operating system, eventually people did get used to it.
After XP, Vista wasn't really much preferred. Many potential consumers were lost because of this.
A whole generation that had grown comfortable with XP didn't understand the new OS and just couldn't get comfortable with it.
After that sobering experience, Microsoft retreated to its cave to lick its wounds, but also to re-strategize. And the result was codenamed Blackcomb and later Vienna, but you and I will know it as Windows 7. But it doesn't matter what it's called. What matters is that old customers feel familiar with the interface, and that the daily trauma of system crashes and limitless security updates will finally, hopefully, become a thing of the past. In fact, Microsoft is being so cautious with this release that they've even announced a Windows XP mode for Windows 7 in response to user concerns. It will also help allay fears that business applications built for the XP kernel won't run on Windows 7, something that was seen all too often with Vista. XP mode will also help ease the worries of PC users using XP who are looking to buy new computers, but hear that XP is being phased out.
They actually just ask, how's the Windows 7, and Windows 7 is here, so why aren't the machines coming with Windows 7? Most of the latest machines, they have the option of, you can upgrade from Windows Vista to Windows 7 directly. That's the general question, can I upgrade it to Windows 7 or not?
Well, if somebody asks me that we're going to spend a few extra bucks to get Windows 7, I'll definitely.
I am in the market for a new computer, and if it wasn't a Mac, then definitely operating systems matter, and not just because Windows 7 is the new one, but Windows will put some effort into making it accessible to the market and accessible to users. I don't really have issues with XP, but I'm sure Windows 7 will have a lot more features.
Okay, we can work with the XP right now, and then later on we can upgrade it to Windows 7. So there's not as such, people are waiting for Windows 7 and then buy the PC, because PC has become a requirement right now.
With a great majority of new computer systems shipping with 4 GB of memory or more, Windows XP simply isn't up to the mark. In fact, the 64-bit compatibility is one of the few things that users liked about Vista.
If you're using the XP, you need to have an upgrade for Vista, because your system is going to run a bit slow if you are having XP and you're upgrading to Vista version. But if you are a Vista user and you need to upgrade to Windows 7, you'll not need that major upgrade in the hardware.
Well, for those of you who value glamour and gloss in addition to system upgrades, and just can't be a traitor and switch over to arch rival Apple's uber minimalist beauty, Windows 7 may just be the solution. With a significantly revamped visual feel that's significantly reminiscent of the aforementioned Apple, Windows 7 is definitely a whole lot sexier than either XP or Vista.
Windows Vista was a complete copy of OS X along with Linux, so I'm guessing maybe they'll go with the Linux flavor this time.
Again, perhaps in competition with Apple's Exposé, Spaces, etc., Windows 7 also has some added features. Aero Peak, perhaps the most effective, creates outlines of all your open windows behind your active windows. The comparison is obvious. Snap and Shake also have similar window management features, the former letting you adjust any window to fit precisely into the right or left side of the screen, and the latter minimizing any visible windows behind your active window. Let's not be too harsh here. Reminiscent though they may be, they still pose an effective makeover and an improved workflow for all the Windows users out there.
People are more looking forward for the Windows 7, because with Vista, the performance was not really that good. Plus Windows 7 is with very good performance and with very good graphics as well. So I think it's a very good comeback by Microsoft.
My anticipation is that Windows 7 will be a lot better, primarily because all the mistakes they made with Windows Vista is what they've rectified in Windows 7. So hopefully they can get it right the second time around.
I was not satisfied with the surge that's present in XP. Whatever I have read about Windows 7 coming up, whatever there is, I expect the surge is going to be quick as well. It's going to provide a lot of preview. For example, you're going through your folders, you've got music over there, it's going to play it right there in the columns.
Also, despite its, let's say, well-informed revamp, it hasn't sold its soul. One of the things that people have always loved about Windows is that, if in doubt, you always know where to start. The start button that leads you, well, anywhere you want, is pretty much the same apart from minor aesthetic tweaks. And for this, we are thankful.
I think most of the user will stick to the XP. The Windows 7 is interact with the new users. No, I don't recommend for the companies to buy it, because companies should rely on the mature products.
I think it'll probably be more consumer, because the amount of efforts required to upgrade an entire operating system really would not, it would outweigh the benefits of upgrading to Windows 7. In terms of am I excited about Windows 7, of course I am. It is the next big or next new technology. So it's interesting to see what Microsoft will come up with and see how fast they can make it crash.